Akim. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakab Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, who teach and rule well, and shalom to the sincere Akim, spreading this truth and sincerity. Shalom. So, in this video, I actually want to, speak on something concerning my video where I spoke about where we are being, basically being trained, by the Heavenly Father, through the trials and tribulations and afflictions that we go through, one of the things that we're being prepared for is being able to deal with persecution and, unfair dealings, wherewith, we're being faced, of course, leading up, to the time of Jacob's trouble, where we're going to be faced with persecution, and it's actually quite funny because yesterday I had a conversation with another executive of the company that is basically the main contractor, but the company that I work for, they are subcontractors. So I had a conversation with him, and he spoke about how, for certain technical things, when he gets approval, it's okay with him when he gets approval from the one that is actually the work the work responsible, individual, the one that is in control of safety, like he's on a high level, technically speaking. And then I told him, last week I had a small altercation with him, and then I explained him the situation as it was, and he was like, oh, so you was the one, that both this and this and that spoke about, when they said that this man had a very big mouth towards me. I was like, Then I asked him the question, so, you now knowing me and not knowing me as the guy that was that before, so he did not know that it was me that they spoke about, that they basically, shit talked about, gave false witness or false testimony, concerning me, concerning how I was supposed to behaved in that situation. Meanwhile, I had like four witnesses around me during the time when I was on the phone, with the guy that was the responsible individual, concerning that situation. And then I asked him the question, like, okay, so now you having spent time with me for a couple of hours now, does the description that this dude gave concerning me fit what you have seen concerning me, in this case, man? Does it match? He was like, well, he was actually like, no. So I was like, yeah, I see, so the story that had been told is not correct. Because I have a couple of witnesses that spoke about it, or that was there when I spoke about the situation with the responsible individual, and I was even on speakerphone, so they heard me and him really talking, where they was like, huh? That's not even the case. You see, so what I actually want to say concerning this video is that the moment that you learn to suffer wrongfully, in a situation where something is being said or done that is not even the case, you do need to understand that the Heavenly Father will clear your name, man. Because what the responsible dude actually, tried to do is slander my name. Slander my name. Salakia, there's a little bit of traffic over here that I need to, keep my eye on. before I demolish a person on a bike. So this dude, he tried to slander my name, but now the executive is like, it don't match up. You know, the guy that I now have seen and witnessed, it's not like that, cause the dude, when I had the conversation with the responsible dude, you know, the work responsible, I don't know how to say it, man. The guy that's responsible for the work, for the safety. He sat down and he said, yeah, you know, you was frustrated. I was like, no, I was not frustrated, man. I just went one ear in and one ear out. Because I've been dealing with this type of shiz actually for, you know, for the last half year, man. So now the point comes that I learned to deal with that. You know, yesterday as well, we're having this conversation, you know, things are going good in the morning, you know, and then seeing that the energy is all right, I asked this new colleague, I asked him, so where do you actually come from? And then he basically becomes the number one, you know, defensive individual, man. What does it matter? I find it offensive that you ask such a question. But the way that he reacted, I was like, okay, you know, okay, I'm sorry, I understand, you know, it don't matter, it's okay. So then my J colleague, who is from Suriname, he later on comes to me, he says, hey, don't listen to this dude, man, he's crazy, and then he even says, man, the way that you handled, you know, his response to your question, which was just a normal question, which I can kind of understand, you know, the Moroccan dude. I still found out where he's from, man. But then the Moroccan dude, I understand him, man, because he'd be like, yeah, man, if I'm from Moroccan and he asks my nationality, he's gonna treat me in a certain way, because over here in Holland, these people from Morocco, they have a certain they're being looked down upon, man. They have a bad reputation over here, you know, which is mostly due to their own, you know, mannerisms. But point of the matter is, the Jake, he said you handled that very well. He said you handled that very professionally, man. So I said, well, yeah, you know, what else is there to do? Because the Jake said, man, I would have, you know, the way that he talks and behaves. And then I come to find out that this man is not all up there in the mind, man. He has a number one thing, he's quite old. He's in his 60s already, so he's actually supposed to retire soon. But he has a very high, as a technician, as a gas and water technician, he's very high qualified. He has the highest qualification for his position. So him being one of the only technicians with the gas and water, he basically abuses his position. You know, like he has some authority or say so, like people are relying upon him, you know, and that he can do things and get away with it. So what did he do? You know, the Jake, I don't know what the heck happened 2 weeks ago, but he got stabbed up in the leg. He told me, he showed me, you know, the stab wounds too, man. He said, man, I got stabbed up 2 weeks ago going to a party. I said, okay, you know. So they asked him if he was already good, man, if he was already, you know, he told me he was off for a month, but then eventually he opened up. He said he got stabbed up. So he was at home recovering from that situation. They asked him to come, and he said, okay, but, you know, I'm not able to do a lot of work and I would need some assistance. So they paired him up with this old dude that is known, for not having to do a lot of work outside of being a technician, because he's old. They don't let him dig as much, etc. So at a certain moment, this guy, this Moroccan, he's digging, and he's getting sick and tired. Yeah, if I have to dig myself, I'm going. This man dipped the fuck out, man. He left us all alone. The work not to be even being done or finished, man. The Jake, handled it pretty well. I told him, like, hey, nothing going on, man. It's not your fault. It's not your mistake. It's him. The way that he reacts is him. But it did make me reflect on something, because this man, he took things so personal, and I saw him complaining about all them things left and right, things that I would used to do back in the days. I would be the one that would complain about things that would not be done or fixed right. But I have been faced with so many of these things, that I just, let it go, man. I learned to let it go and be like, hey, let it go and let God, man, like they say in the world. But I just really learned to let go, because when I think about it, it's not my responsibility. I get paid per hour. I want to get home. I don't want to think about work no more. Back in the days, I was pretty much occupied with work, because, the situation that I'm in is not favorable, man. Living with your parents is not a favorable position to be in, especially when it also concerns your daughter. Where you and your daughter, reside in the house of your parents, man. The house that you're supposed to leave once and never come back. You see, but hey, seeing the situation that I'm in, the Heavenly Father did fix me up with a roof over my head. So I was really, striving to get out of that situation. But, I did it with my own. I tried to do those things with my own might, and not let the Heavenly Father, do His work, and let me just, look at things in a spiritual way and not take things so personal, man. But when I looked at the Moroccan dude, this man was crazy, man. When I looked at him, I was like, man, that's a mirror for how I used to be back in the days, man. I would get quickly angry, when things would not be done or fixed right, because I'd be like, man, it's logical, right? It's a logical thing, man, that things need to be done properly, and otherwise you can't perform a job. But then you come to realize at a certain moment, which you of course already knew, like Esau, Edom, the so-called white man upon the earth, is ruling this earth. They're children, man. Children rule over us. These people don't know what the fuck they're doing, man. When we look at the certain kingdoms described in the scriptures, such as the Babylonian and the Egyptian Empire, we know that Daniel and Joseph, were the second highest, in command, next to the Pharaoh and next to the king. And they was basically governors, man. They were governing, the affairs of the king and the Pharaoh, and making sure things was done right. But what do we see happening right now? We see that Esau is in authority. They want to do things their way, and they fuck things up, man. They fuck things up, and that's why we are in the state that we are right now. Of course, first and foremost, due to our own mistakes that we made as a people, therefore we are under their subjection. But the world is in the state that it is right now because Esau is ruling, and he's not applying, the scriptures of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, he is not doing the things, that he is supposed to do according to the scriptures, man. You know what I mean? So that is actually, the reason, when a thing like that comes to the realization, because you can know these things, but it also has to, enter into your subconscious mind that you are aware of it. You know what I mean? So like, I need to pay a little bit more attention to the road right now. what I'm gonna do is Slovakia. I need to put my car down somewhere over here.